A couple of weeks ago, I picked up this brand new 2026 Honda Goldwing Tour DCT at Southern Honda Power Sports in East Ridge, Tennessee, the largest Honda Goldwing dealer in the country. But ever since I got back to Dallas-Fort Worth, I've been in the process of putting on my favorite aftermarket accessories to get it to be the perfect bike for me. This is part 2 of that build process. Hey everybody, welcome back to Cruiseman's Garage. Today we're out in the garage and we're going to be doing some more installations. Which accessories are the most important to me? Now in part 1, I already showed you that I installed the bullet brake, which I felt like is one of the most important accessories I have on this bike. I also insisted that Southern Honda Power Sports install the Traxxion engine guard before I left the dealership. So those two things alone are two of the most important things that I've added to this motorcycle. Now I've got some other things we're going to install today. We're going to install some little things from Traxxion Dynamics. I've also got the Pathfinder LED sequential turn signals that go on the front of the bike. I've got the Pathfinder LED cowl lights and the center tail light that goes in the back of the bike. That's why I'm wearing the Pathfinder LED cap this morning, because most of the things we're going to install in this video are from Pathfinder LED. And I have videos on my YouTube channel on details on how to install each of these products along with reviews of the products. But I've been a big fan of Pathfinder LED for years. I've had their products on every Honda Goldwing I've owned. And so without any further ado, let's get started.
This video is sponsored by Cruiseman's Garage Honda Goldwing Maintenance Video Series.
So this is the second video in my series of installing accessories. And what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to get a fish to go down behind or underneath the radio package here, which is different on this bike, on this 2026, and I'm trying to get this fish to go down and come out down here behind the rear fender somewhere in this area so that I can install my little center light from Pathfinder LED. And it is definitely a tighter fit than it was on my 2024 because they've changed that radio package and it might be in the way. I don't know. Now I can get the fish to come out right here, but I don't know if there's enough space to get the Pathfinder connector through there. I'd rather have it go up in this area right here. So let me see if I'm going to keep trying, see if I can get that fish to come out. I'm also going to put a light up there and see if I can see any light coming through. Maybe I can see where there's an opening. Go around here, see if I can see any light coming through anywhere. But I can actually see some of that light coming through. And I think there might be a way, if I run the fish up from behind, see if I can get it up under the seat. There are some little connectors and things in the way, but I think I might be able to get just enough room. Okay, I was able to get it to go up some. Let's see if we can find it under the seat. Oh yeah, there it is. I see it right there. Okay, so we can get a fish. I think it's easier if you start from the back on the 25 and 26 models. I think on the 24 I went from this angle, from the seat down, but I think it's easier to go from the fender back up. Now I can run my wire. So I tied my connector to the fish, or taped it, I should say, with some masking tape. And we're going to see if we can get it to go and fit. There's a very small opening. I'm hoping it's enough for that little connector to fit through. I think it is, but we'll have to get up top and pull it through and see if it is. Okay, I'm going to pull on it carefully because I don't want to pull my tape off. Boy, it's tight. Now, yeah, there it comes. It did make it. Good. Very cool. Okay, now I'm going to run this underneath this whole bundle of wires that Honda has here so that it's not sitting on top of all these wires. I'd rather it be underneath. Okay, I ran my fish underneath this bundle of wires here, and I went ahead and ran it underneath these wires, this frame rail. You always want to make sure none of your wires are on top of this frame rail, otherwise the seat is going to probably damage them. And I'm just pulling this harness through here. So now it's pretty much where I need it. And my Pathfinder little isolation block or lighting distribution hub is going to go right in here, so I can just plug right in. I'll just take off this fish and we'll be good to go. Let me go install that light back here. I need to pull up a little bit more of that cable, and they always give you more than you need. Yeah, I still got more to come, so let's just keep pulling that excess. Yeah, there we go. It's getting pretty close. And that is what the light looks like when it's installed. Now, if you need to get to the emergency key, you basically just pop this light off. It'll pop off just like the cover does. It basically just replaces this little plastic cover that comes, should go like that. It comes on the bike, and that's what hides your emergency access key. While I'm at it, since I've got my rear fender off, I'm going to go ahead and put on my Texas license plate, which I just picked up this morning. So the next project is to install the cowl lights from Pathfinder LED, and that means removing both of the fog light covers. Now, I have this all on my maintenance videos, how to remove these fog light covers. It's pretty simple. You just remove these two bolts and it pretty much comes out. There's a couple of tabs on the side you have to deal with, but it's very simple. The cowl lights come with a printed template that I'm cutting out here. These templates are used to show you exactly where you need to drill the holes in your cowl so that you can mount the lights. Now, you can also print these templates out online, like on a PDF file, but you have to make sure your printer is set correctly. So they give you a scale. You have to make sure you measure that scale so that you have the exact size template. Here I'm just test fitting the template on the cowl. You can see how it goes up in that corner, and mine fits perfectly. This is the right side fog light cover, and these templates are labeled left and right, so that makes it pretty simple. So while I hold that template in place, I'm going to use a pick, and I'm just going to get right in the middle of that marker, and I'm just going to kind of push in and make a little mark in that plastic. That plastic is pretty soft, and then I'm going to wrap the template around and make my second mark. There's actually two holes that have to be drilled to mount the cowl lights, and again I'm just poking through the paper and kind of putting a little mark on the plastic itself. Now, I like using these step bits when drilling into plastic because they cut through just like butter. They don't hang up, and they're very easy to control. The first hole I'm drilling here has to go to 6 millimeters. And these step bits show you on the bit what size hole you're drilling, so it's very easy to get exactly the size you need. You can see that's a very smooth hole. Now, this first hole I drilled is only 4 millimeters, but now I can put the step bit back in and go up to the next step, which is 6 millimeters. Very, very easy to use on plastic. I got these step bits on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description of the video if you're interested where to buy these. They're very inexpensive. So the next hole calls for an 11mm hole to be drilled. My step bits only go in increments of 2. So I started out by drilling a 6mm hole using my smaller bit. Now I'm going to move up to my next size bit, which goes a little bit larger. This one I think goes up to 12, maybe 14mm, and I'm just going to go ahead and ream that hole out until I get to 10mm. Now Pathfinder asks for 11mm, but I have found that 10mm seems to work just fine. And as you can see, it is a perfect fit, and they really do enhance the looks of the bike. Now it's just a matter of installing the little nuts onto these threaded posts. This is all plastic on plastic, so it doesn't have to be super tight. You don't want to run the risk of stripping out these plastic threads. You have to make sure you feed the wire, of course, through the large nut that goes toward the front of the cowl. And I'm just hand tightening. You really don't even need any tools for this part of the process. It's very simple. Okay, so I've got my cowl lights installed. I got the fog light covers back on the bike. And I went ahead and ran the wires back up under here. I'm just waiting for the Pathfinder hub. So I've got my wire for the left side, wire for the right side. This is my center tail light wire. Eventually there will be a wire for the spoiler that has the multifunction with the brake and turn signals. So now we're just waiting on the Pathfinder hub. Okay, my next little task is to install this dipstick extender from Traxxion Dynamics onto my Goldwing oil dipstick. Basically just makes it much easier to get on and off. I don't know why Honda doesn't do this from the factory, but they don't. So it's pretty simple to do. Basically we're going to put some of this epoxy that comes with the dipstick extender from Traxxion, and it's kind of like a putty epoxy, and you basically mix it up. The way they package it could be improved, I think. But no problem, we'll get it out of here. Now we're just going to kind of mash this stuff up together, and what it does, it's mixing the two components of the epoxy together. I'm going to grab another glove. This stuff really does not smell good, I can tell you right now. I think Max could get a better smelling epoxy. I think when it turns black, that's when it's mixed pretty well. And I don't know how long you have before this stuff sets up, but I'm guessing it's a little bit of time. Okay, I'm going to take this epoxy now that I've got it all mixed together, and I'm just going to kind of shove it down into this thing here, this little extender like that. And then I'm going to take my dipstick and just kind of shove it down. Before I do that though, I'm going to clean this with alcohol. I think it's better if it's been cleaned. Usually things will adhere a little better if they're clean. So I'm going to clean this off with alcohol. Basically we're just going to shove this down inside that putty until it bottoms out. And you'll get some putty squeezing out through these little holes on the side. I'm going to kind of mash down on it. I think that's as far as it goes. And then if there is any putty coming out on the sides. Any of that epoxy, you can just wipe it off. You can see how much easier that makes getting access to that dipstick. I'm not going to tighten it too. I don't want it to spin on that epoxy, so I'm just barely tightening it right now. Just enough to hold it there. And then after a few hours, I'll come back and tighten that a little more. I think it looks nice, and it makes it a heck of a lot easier to get off because this engine gets hot, and it makes it a little more difficult to get to that dipstick. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this rear view mirror assembly. And to do that, I've got to remove the Traxxion action camera mount, which I have mounted here with two of these Allen screws. So we're going to remove that. Then I'm going to take this mirror assembly over to my work table, and we're going to remove the mirrors. And we're going to install the daytime running lights and the Muth signal mirrors so that we have our turn signals and our mirrors, which I did take those off my old bike, so I'm basically just moving them over to the new bike. Now I'd already removed the cover down here on the bottom, so I didn't have the little decorative cover on. I always like to kind of put my body up against the mirror so that when I remove these bolts, the mirror doesn't just drop off. There's also a plug we have to unplug, so I'm pressing with my body on this mirror as I'm removing these screws. I've got videos on how to do this. On my maintenance videos, I show you how to remove the rear view mirrors. Try to get my electrical connector out here. There we go. And we'll unplug that. And like I say, if you want details on how to do this, check out my maintenance videos. I go into great detail on how you get all this apart. Okay, I'm not going to do a lot of talking. I'm just going to take this thing apart. As I said earlier, this is not a how-to video. I have videos on my maintenance video series that show how to do all these things in great detail. I'm just showing you what I'm doing on this new bike, not how to do it. Now that we have the OEM turn signals removed, we can replace them with the daytime running light sequential turn signal units that I removed from my 2024 Honda Goldwing. These come from, of course, Pathfinder LED, and they are very cool looking. I think they make the bike look better, and I think they offer a degree of safety. While we have the rear view mirror assembly apart, it only makes sense to go ahead and install the Muth signal mirrors. So I'm going to put the frame back into the mirror shell, and then we can install the Muth mirrors. I love these Muth signal mirrors. I've had them on every Honda Goldwing that I've owned since 2005. These are a direct replacement for your OEM mirrors. They're the exact same shape. Now I have the blue glass. I like the looks of the blue glass better than the regular chrome glass. And there is a wire that will need to be run back to the Pathfinder hub to the turn signal circuit, but that's pretty simple to do. I did try running a fish from the rearview mirror area down to underneath the seat. It was pretty difficult. I tried several times going both directions. For me, it was easier just to go ahead and remove the middle cowl to run that wire. And there are instructions in my maintenance videos on what you have to do to remove the middle cowl. It's that side panel that you see on the fairing. Okay, so now I can pretty easily run my fish up where I can see it. Yep, there it is right there. Okay, I just need to come up to about here. So after reinstalling the middle cowls and the rear view mirrors, this is what the front of the bike looks like now with my new sequential turn signals. And I'll show you the Muth mirrors later once I get them plugged in. Hey, thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and watch for part 3. I've got more stuff to put on this 2026 Honda Goldwing.